What's up? We are back. We were backstage. Sorry we're late, guys. We almost drank a whole beer just waiting to get up and running. But happy Thursday, boys.
Let's go.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
Let's go.
Happy Thursday. Dude, how about that Tesla, though?
Tesla Thursday, baby. Oh, my God.
Dude, Casey just absolutely destroyed Tesla. Congrats, man.
I wish I had more contracts, but it was a great.
I mean, we saw some stuff out there that was, probably. Is that Nick jumping in the house?
You know, there was
Look
a
at that.
lot of flow
Yeah,
today too on Tesla. Really.
Yeah.
Cheers, Nick.
Cheers.
Look at that guy.
Cheers.
Look at this guy. He's a 10.
What a beautiful mug.
He has a hog too.
We got a hog. So
already
yeah,
on.
Tesla with the most insane move. I think the biggest move that Tesla's ever had.
Yes.
At least in the last few years, that's for sure. Options market completely underpriced that thing, priced in $15, give or take, like a 7% move. We knew Tesla had like a 10% average move, but nobody, it's definitely not myself, nobody, I think, expected a 20 something. What did Tesla close the day at?
It hit 262 and it
22%.
46.
And what was the implied move, I wonder, before the 10%?
Yeah, 10% was the average move. So it made over double the average move, which
insane.
like I said, just
My
absolutely
second biggest stock price move trade that I've ever
that's
bought.
crazy, man.
I got so close. 25% on Target was the most I ever had, but yeah, Tesla freaking 22% today. Insane.
Yeah, that's just wild. How many dollars is that? Like four?
It was when I sent my last alert. I was like,
No, it's like 260. This is like $50, $45.
Dude, in the December calls, the last ad before the close yesterday, $1.65, and they hit $10 to the penny right when it went above 262 before the close. And I closed out. I sold the runner.
This is just insane. So here, let's go ahead and repost the tweet. So we're live on Ticker Talk, by the way. Appreciate everybody. What is this Nick in this back channel, this private chat? If you guys have questions, feel free to if you can post in, we can see your chat. Oh, I did not look at, we got a lot of stuff coming in. I didn't even realize this.
Yeah, so I was just about to say, we're already getting them in for the listeners or viewers.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us.
Go to your live chat, and if you've got a question, whether it be a ticker, a trade, psychology, whatever it is, drop it in there. We'll try to get to as many as we can today and get them up on screen. Mitch, thank you.
Brando in the house too. Look at this.
Brando.
I miss Brando.
Brando, what is up?
Oh yeah.
Too
Say
funny.
my name, Bendo.
Nick, you want to kick us off? You want us to give us a little? I think you did this last week. With
Did we have a question?
Well, no, but what are we here for, Mr. Bull Trade Finder?
What are we here for? Well, we are here to go over our trades, go over things in the market that you were wondering about, and kick some ass in this market. That's what we're here for.
Right. That's right, baby.
Plain and simple.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you guys have questions, so what we do basically just kind of take a step back from the markets. We'll talk about our trades. Casey just had a killer freaking day. I think a lot of people, not for me, unfortunately, I can't say it was a happy all-time high day on the account. Close, maybe next week.
Ooh.
Close. Look, I was having all-time high days like all week last week, so fair enough. But I think for Casey, and definitely for a couple of the other guys. So,
Quick question that just popped up. This is recorded. You can play this back once the broadcast finished. You can play it back on the Ticker Talk. You can go to the same broadcast and watch it back. I believe this is on Paper's YouTube as well. Is that correct?
I did put it on my YouTube as well. I just figured,
so
why
you can watch
not?
it back over there too.
Yeah.
Mic check.
No, you're fine, actually.
We got you.
All right, cool.
And we'll see. We might have something also to give away at the end of this for the most insightful question.
Guys, we have a couple big announcements, but if you can listen, we got 400 something people in. If we can get 1,000, what about 1,000, Sharky?
1,000.
We hit 1,000. If we hit 1,000, then you think we can
1,000 what, viewers?
Yeah.
Well,
Then
let's see where we're at now.
Start giving it away.
459. 459
Yeah, there it goes.
on our live.
They're coming. They're coming in.
They're coming in. You guys need a retweet. We need a couple more retweets. That's for sure. We'll wait. Amp, you want to kick us off with a couple questions?
It won't let me highlight them and put them on screen, but
Oh, sure.
I mean, one of the first ones I saw was just Microsoft as a chart, and I couldn't
Just
think of
a
anything better
request.
to go over that than paper. If you want to throw your screen up,
Oh,
because I would love to see paper go through the technical setup of Microsoft, because it's a very interesting one.
so we were actually long Microsoft just recently. Right? I believe this is Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there she is. Let me see if I can get a clean one, a clean chart. So Microsoft, so we use a couple different things. Number one, let's be crystal clear on Microsoft, just the daily. You can think what you want to think. You could have thought that this was a inverse or a head and shoulders. Quite frankly, this would have been your head and shoulders moment, not anything else. And this has failed to be a short. And so what you can definitively say is all of this, look, whenever Microsoft gets in these 400s, it's a buy, and as close to that area as you can, it's definitely a buy. So recently, I took longs on Microsoft in this area, but here, this is kind of like where we're going to be current overhead, let's call it resistance, if you will. So I'm going to play this forward just a little bit.
Could you scale in a little bit more? It's hard to see like the actual prices on the end. I don't know if it's just me. I just want to make sure.
Well, I can do this, and then we're kind of like
right
off.
there.
Okay.
Right. So let me get this. So this right here, this is a volume profile on the right. And the bottom of this is, you can't really see, but there's a highlighted area. This is actually the value, like the point of control for this entire value area right here. So yesterday, or just the other day, when we were coming off of 409s, 408s, and each little peak inside of this becomes kind of like, when you trade volume profiles, you trade peak to peak. So this was a peak here, then you go to here, then we bounced up off of this peak into this one. And this is kind of where we're sitting, and it's clearly overhead resistance at the moment. So quite frankly, I've closed this near dated option trade. So my option trades were in here. So this around 415 recently, up into I had 425. We actually got to 430. But I think you kind of need to take a breather for just a minute. This will probably resolve itself in my mind, and I'm going to bring us back on. In my mind, this is going to resolve itself higher eventually, but it's likely to be post earnings, if that makes sense. And so until this is October 30th, so next Wednesday, we could get like one or two more pushes that might put you just slightly over that range into this area here, into this top, but I don't see it honestly going much higher than that. And if it does, it'll probably get sold back down to retest this 430s area. So,
Is
but
that
for
the
now,
daily paper?
yeah, this is a daily. So intraday.
Let me see. If on the daily, I just pulled it up. You should be able to almost put Microsoft in a pennant if you draw the trend line from the highs and the lows.
So right now, this is more or less the setup for a lot of the Mag 7, right? The pennant, if you want to. So I was going to do a couple things. So you have all of your simple moving averages. So I use the 20, the 5, or the 20, the 50, and the 200. That's it, right? Those are my only simple moving averages. These are all really setting up for some type of a squeeze, but it can get really choppy. See, they're all literally sitting on top of each other as we approach earnings. So again, for right now, I think this is going to resolve ideally higher, but to Casey's point, right, if you're looking at this from like a consolidation perspective, we're not actually out of the woods quite yet. You're still getting into these tighter and tighter ranges, right? So this is where you are. I think ultimately, if you get a breakout from here, then your real targets is right into this 450 area, and then this begins to look a lot like Apple. It looks like Nvidia, and all those, because they were all setting up to do exactly exactly this. But this is one where unfortunately it's kind of going to look. It looks to me like it's going to try maybe make a small press ahead of earnings, but the real resolution of this consolidation is very likely to be an actual earnings trade. Near term, we really want to look into this prior. So this is a 3-hour chart into this prior consolidation here. So if you do get that breakout and push over, what you'd be looking for, something a little bit different, something like this, break, hold, and then push up into, this is about 439, where you would find a bit of a congestion area right in here. 438s, just under 440. But anyways, that's my view.
Yeah, this like daily triangle it's kind of sitting in.
Yeah.
Literally is going to resolve like the day of earnings. If you draw it out on the daily, it literally basically resolves the day of earnings. So that'll be very interesting next week.
I like it, right? I feel like Microsoft's interesting because, and this is probably like fundamentally, but this Copilot deal, right? Everybody was all hyped about it. When was the last time you guys heard a Copilot announcement or anything about Copilot? It's almost like not priced into the stock anymore. So I've been of the mindset that I actually think that maybe Copilot may have been overestimated for the enterprise. But, we've been hearing a lot. There's still this shenanigans about, the super cycle at the client side or laptops. So I don't know if you know, but like when you buy a laptop, you can buy it with or without Microsoft Copilot, which is like a subscription. I think that's a big deal and really not priced into the stock on the retail side, on the consumer side. So imagine if every laptop you bought came with a like monthly recurring Microsoft Copilot license. Like that's a massive lever from a revenue perspective.
Paper, I see a question I really like for the next one that just popped in, just came in from Jeff. You see that one up top? When you are trading options, can you explain how you scale out of the trade when in profit? I would love to hear Paper, KC, or not, either because you boys trade options. No, Sharky does too sometimes, but you guys are trading options all the time. So anybody that wants to take that.
I'll let Casey take it.
Okay. So for me, on how I scale out of the trade when in profit. So the thing is, I have a strict set of rules for me. With my trades, my risk to reward ratio always needs to be a 1 to 2. So that means if you're going to risk losing $100, your reward should be at least 200 on this trade. So that right out of the gate, you should know what your risk to reward is. So the thing is, when I'm in the reward, I tend to try to get around a 20% gain. I size heavy and buy a few days out, sometimes even a week or so. So I can put a $2,000 trade out there, right, and get 20%. I'm up $400 at this time. So I will usually take anywhere between a quarter to maybe half of my gains by that time at 20%. And then my stop on the other half is now at break even, which means my rule that I have, if the trade was good enough for me to take profit, it should never cost me money on the back end. So if it comes back to break even, it comes back to break even, that's fine. I will look at another chance to re-enter into the trade, but I'm not going to let it go red and cost me money if it was good enough for me to take profits. So now say we're beyond that 20% scale. If I'm going 30, 40, say I'm at 50% now, I'll take another quarter size off around 50%. My stop is now moved up from break even to the previous scale that I initially took, which would be that 20%. And it's kind of like a trailing stop loss. So now I'm up 50%. I'm out 3/4 position size. I have a quarter size left. My stop's at plus 20%. Now I'm going to target 75%, 100%, and just be in runners by that time. So, I mean, that's just kind of how I manage my options trades position. Obviously, not financial advice. That is just how I manage my account and my trades with options.
So, like, what's your first scale again? It's
usually 15 to 20%. I'm taking a minimum of a quarter out. Depending on how heavy sized I am, it could be half. But usually I like to wait until about 30% to be out half of my position.
Yeah, I think depends on the system. I have similar, a little bit different. It's if you're so I think it depends on your average. Like you have to know your personal tracking history, like your personal trade history. So like Nick might be different or GNOT's, but like I will say, so I know definitively over, the last 10 years, I have an average win rate of 85% with an average win that's slightly over 100%. And so with that said, most, like when I do have a win, it's going there. So I'm out at minimum, like completely de-risk at a double, and about 50%, where Casey's out like 2 to 3 quarters at 50%, I'm out probably like a quarter at that point, if that makes sense. And then definitively out 50 to 80% at a double, if not more. And then it's from there.
I think this is a great kind of little thing you kind of touched on there, Paper. Kind of talking about knowing your own stats and also how important it is to have those kind of analytics and statistics. There's plenty of programs that do it for you, where you can just import your broker. Other ones that you can do it on an Excel sheet or whatever your fancy is. But knowing those stats, because when I was trading options more, or even now when it comes to futures, I know that a lot of my trades usually, I can, depending on the market, I was usually consistently on options. I could hit, 60%, 50%, 100%. And I know that would happen more times than not. So if I had a 50% loss, it doesn't really make a difference to me, because I know that in the long run of say 20 trades, I'm going to have 15 or 16 of them that are going to make up for that way more. And that's why it's important to kind of know that. And that's why sometimes, I don't like to, but in the futures world, I'll take a 30% loss and, or 30 point loss. Now, that hurts, but not every week, but, I can get close to, 50 to 80% or 80 point trades, a good amount of time. And I know that that's going to balance it out, Now, again, we don't want to just, lean on that too much, because obviously, the house edge is going to catch up with you. But still knowing those statistics, I think, really can help you kind of, knowing what your average win is, knowing what your average loss is, and then being able to...
Why does Nick have this like big, giant smile? I was like, what's happening? What am I missing?
This is here.
Oh, man. What do you got, GNOTs? You have rules? Do you have rules around it?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of follow exactly what Casey said, so I'll cut it at that. Right around 15 to 20%. I usually trim about 25, a quarter to a third of my position, and then from there I just set stop loss. So stop loss at break even. If we continue to run up, I'll set my stop loss 10%, in profit, and I just continue to do that. Now, one thing I've been, very clear about is I am someone who is kind of shitty at holding things longer. So listen, that is something that I truly need to work on myself. But that is, how I do it. And the issue is I put my stops way too tight. So they stop, and then all of a sudden, you see it go up. That's what I need to kind of tweak. Other than that,
and that's the thing, and you also, Paper can say this too. It's also kind of taking into account where the VIX is and that volatility. Oh, there he is. He's back. He's back, and he went with the hat theme.
Steak and lobster tonight. I gotta get
Oh boy.
Oh god.
But for me, when I did the options too, I actually normally would aim for about 30 to 35% personally. Because also you got to think about where's your stop, what's the ratio. If most of your trades if you're taking losses that are 30%, but you're taking your gains at 15%, and that's really why I don't like that adage. You can always go broke. You can never go broke taking profits. Because if the ratio is off, it's just not true. So. When I was doing more options, I wouldn't really, if I took a 40% loss or a 30% loss, that's fine, because I know my average would be at least 35 to 40%, because that was my first scale. you know, and I would work on it. It was something I consciously made a decision to say this year, because every year I make myself trading goals, you know, and I said this year, this was maybe, I don't know, 4 years ago or 5 years ago, I said, I'm going to work on holding longer. Like, this is something I need to focus on.
Well, when we do the next X Mastermind, so we're gonna have Maple Stacks come in and do that, do his by candle.
Right.
And what's funny is like when we have, sorry to jump in, but like to holding longer, and to Gustavo's question, how do you know to start cutting or is when the trend's ending? Sorry, I just, you know, the intraday and day by day market structure and understanding like how to read it candle by candle. I mean, it's to me, it's almost like I never really talked about it because I just thought it was like something that people knew. They don't like, it's not, I guess it's not natural.
Well, it's one of the hardest things, you know, and we talk about like how counterintuitive trading is, because you think you're making money. It should be easy to hold. You know, but it's the opposite. It's harder to hold what's making you money, and it's easier to hold the thing that's losing you money. You know, which is just, you know, that's what makes trading.
Like, you bet in your silver forever, right? I don't know if you're still in it, but like I know Casey and I believe stopped out, and then Casey re-entered, and I did not.
Yeah.
So like there are certain times like you don't always know, but like you have just like your basic day by day, hour by hour kind of like monitoring that series of higher highs and higher lows. And then once you stop getting the series, I think a lot of people like they get into this, oh, okay, well, they're either looking for a series of higher highs or higher lows, but not both, if that makes sense. Because you can all of a sudden in the middle of a trend get a lower high, but yet continue to make higher lows. And especially for options, when you get that moment where you have a lower high, if you have like two lower highs, then you got to know, okay, it's probably time to chill or exit stage left, one of the two, because you might still get those higher highs, but for options, it's all about momentum. As it's very much about momentum. So, oh, look at this guy. Who's that?
Oh, Big Daddy Flav. Hey, Flavio. Good to see you, buddy. Great trader, guys. Check him out if you haven't checked him out.
I think we did hit our mark, though, by the way, Sharky. He looks like you got about 40.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, all right. So, yeah, let me see here. All right. We have 1,000 people. Then I will say, okay. So, for the most insightful question, we'll have to vote on it. Well, we got 6 people, so it might be a little tricky. But we're definitely going to give away $50,000 today to one of the listeners here. Well, not $50,000, you know. A $50,000 account for you to trade.
I heard $50,000.
Yeah. Hold on. Delete that. There's the edit button.
Oh my God!
Giving away a
$50,000 free account for you to trade with in the futures market.
Good.
And 50,000 lira, which is about. Well, let's see. We got to get some insightful questions here, and then we'll talk about what the best one is. Well, let's answer Flav's question. No, I'm going to give you a check. Don't cash it till Friday.
From Sharky. All right.
Okay, so who wants to take this one?
I think.
Well, Frank has a great method of his reverse scaling.
Can I preface it though?
And I don't know how hackable it is for options.
Flav,
but
what is it? What are you? Are you? So Flav, I'll type it in the chat. Flav, is that for options or futures?
Also, regarding that question, while we're waiting for him to answer back, go over Apeshit's question. Oh wait.
What?
Oh. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he said I would like the one under that.
The difference between futures and options.
Yeah, the one about options and futures. It's a longer question. You'll see it.
Yeah.
After the strategies one?
Scroll farther down, you'll see.
2 under Flavs. 2 under Flav.
Yeah.
Flavito.
Oh my God.
Was that 1640?
No?
Hold on. Well, Flav replied.
Okay.
You guys, this chat is going. Okay.
Yeah, because Sharky fucking told them they were getting $50,000.
I mean, dude, I'm like, let's go, 50 G's. Oh, Maymay's in the house, by the way.
Well, I said in general, let's talk options.
Okay.
So how do you guys paper KC? You know, the
I
option
only see the one question, Nick.
No, it's
it's
farther
under that.
down.
All right, go.
It's-
Flab responded.
If you see Mitch,
Yeah.
it's between Mitch on
It's
top of
12:40 for you.
the bottom. Yeah. Just keep scrolling down a little bit.
12.
You mean up? Oh, that's
original.
up. I would have to scroll up.
There you go. That one.
Jiminy crikey.
The main difference between futures and options.
Oh, I have the answer.
Yeah, I figured it'd be a good one.
Oh, so options. Options are my specialty. Futures are like Sharky, Frank, and M's specialty. So what I can tell you, the biggest difference and the key difference is that options are all about convexity. So they have what you ideally look for is exponential gains. And so when I said momentum, like if you see higher lows but not higher highs for options, that's not good enough. For futures, that is. So options are about convexity or momentum in the stock, in the underlying, whatever it is that you're trading. As long as you're holding momentum, you're going to have exponential gains. Whereas futures, you do not get that. What you get with futures, though, is linear payouts. So for every $1, you get the same exact reward, if that makes sense, if it goes in your favor or against you. For options, it's not the same. So the first dollar gets you so much, the second dollar gets you so much plus 2. The third dollar gets you even more. The fourth dollar gets you even more. So that's the convex type of payout that you're looking for with options. If you're someone that buys options, futures is a linear, like this is how much it makes, and your drawdowns, for me, is the biggest like learning curve. Is that your drawdowns when you risk $1,000, your reward is $1,000. With futures, right? When you risk $1,000 on options, your reward can be $4,000 or $5,000 in profit, but your risk is less than that, if that makes sense. You have a different type of risk reward, like what's the word I'm looking for? Jeez, you have a different risk reward on options where your payout can be better. And I think that the
you have a defined risk with the options, because you could just go to zero. You have the defined risk on options.
Yeah, it's defined, but even on options, we're like it can pull back a little bit, and my option contract might only come down 25%, and I still have that same reward. But for futures, that little drawdown, that little pullback, that's gonna show up really big. Also,
I think for futures, if you have an issue finding your entries, like finding really good entries, that can be an issue, because I found with futures, because of that fact, like Faber's saying, the futures drawdown is a little bit more hectic than what options are.
It's way bigger.
Yeah. So if you do not have that exact spot where this is where I'm going to enter, and when I enter this trade, I need to be able to figure out how low it can go before I'm going to sell and how high it's going to go, just like options though. But the difference with futures is it's just going to move a lot faster, and with options you can slowly scale into it. If it starts to pull back a little on a red candle, you'll hear paper, I'm going to add a few more like Microsoft here, like I'm still in this position.
And
with
if it has
futures,
momentum, I might not even have
you're not doing that. With futures,
No.
you're gonna stop out and then try to re-enter in at another time. But you have to really pinpoint your entries for futures. I think that's going to be the biggest drawdown for most people, is they're not taking good entries.
With insane precision and execution, right? I think precision and understanding execution concepts is probably one of the biggest things for sure. Being able to go short into like strong, what looks like green momentum, like is kind of a must sometimes on futures, but options not so much. Like options, you can wait for the break. If you're waiting for I feel like you guys tell me, I feel like if you're waiting for the break on futures, you're probably late. Like probably late.
let's go.
I think you have to be more disciplined to trade futures than options. I think futures will really test a trader's discipline, honestly.
There's some situational stuff there too. So like, and Paper can speak to this because he just did the other day. But there's times where if you're in a short dated trade, your drawdown may be 40 to 50%. Your reward could still be 200-300 if it's a 0 DTE. I mean, if you're further out, we talked about this the other day. How many times, Paper, have you taken something that was basically dead, and then next thing you know, you're up, a couple 100% on a
I remember that one great clip that we had when it was like the end of the day, he was doing the SPX.
Well, that's the point.
It's 80%, and then it went like 400%.
Yeah. I think
it's very situational.
Yeah,
it's very situational to where if it's 0 DTE, are we talking, is it weeklies? Are we in a swing trade? That's very different with options. You kind of got to know your situation and build your strategy around that, or have a multiple strategy approach. So if you're trading a short-term move, know that you should have different risk parameters on a short-term trade than you do maybe on a month or a 2-month swing trade.
Yeah, options you can lever up and lever down, if that makes sense. So like futures, you have the same amount of leverage. I don't know what the leverage is on futures, but like with options, so the more time you buy, the less leverage you have, and the less time you buy, the more leverage you have. And then especially like when you get down to expiration, your leverage can be 1,000x on options, where not that way.
The other thing that I think, options can be more complicated and everything like that. But the other thing that I think is great about options, and Knots and Paper and KC can speak to this, is also the creativity that you can kind of come up with, doing calendars, the iron butterflies, the spreads. You can really come up with some very interesting trades and trade theses which you cannot do in futures. And it does get a little bit more advanced, and you can really nerd out on these things. But I think that is something that futures doesn't offer. And on a day that you maybe expect some chop, like we had maybe yesterday, today, where KC and Knots were just selling the options, expecting more of that type of a range. Then they have strategies for that, whereas a futures trader, if I just have to rely on that, I've got to realize I got to take profits quicker, and I have to kind of adjust the way I'm trading intraday. And it might even be a day where if you don't accelerate in that type of a environment, that you say, hey, look, my stats say I don't trade the range well, I'm not going to trade it, or I'm going to size down, and then, do something.
I feel like this is from Vegas Shark. This is a question for Sharky, is it not? The best strategy for avoiding a trailing drawdown in the eval accounts, besides just being green every day. It seems like they're only offering 2,000 risk or make 3,000, and then you have 10% days given the 2K risk before payout. Can you help me with this?
Well, just from, if you're having an issue with that, it sounds like, you're trading a 50K, and we'll get Frank and
this is sizing now as well. Yeah. Is this a sizing question?
I was going to say, he's sizing too big. it's got to be that, you got to, if you
bigger, if you have the Mercedes budget, or like you Mercedes size with the Kia budget kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Realize you're not trading a $50,000 account. You're trading a drawdown account of your drawdown. So you're really only trading with $2,000. So, and also if you're new to trading, MNQ might just be a little bit too wild, and there's nothing wrong with that until you get a little bit more used to it. I remember Casey still trades ES. Sometimes he does do NQ as well, but it's a little bit slower. It's a little bit tamer. When he was getting his feet wet, that's what he was doing. There's nothing, and for me, what I teach, or advise my students to do, or suggest, I should say, is 1 to 5 tops, and MES, always the micros. 1 to 3 if you're struggling, and just work on building from there. There's no reason why you need to be taking 10. At this point, especially on the 5 NQ or MNQ, just moves too fast. You can be down $500. $600 real quick, and you don't have much room to work with. So, build that foundational set in trading 1, 2, 3, and I think it's really a sizing issue that we're coming into here.
Okay, I think we did cover apes, right? Oh, or Flavs about scaling. Okay, so Nick wants us to go. He's smiling. I think he's typing, but okay.
No, I
Well,
said
didn't
no.
cut
I
out,
already
sorry.
did.
You wanted to
Sorry, I
ask
froze.
about Flav's question about scaling for options.
Yeah.
Scaling into a position for
Yeah,
options.
scaling into
Yeah.
a position for options.
Where did it go?
It
Well,
was,
I think
it
in
was
general.
it was 2 over our previous
So,
question.
And then I can I do Bullish's question after
Yeah.
that, because I think his question kind of leads in. So Bullish had a really good question. What's up, dude? By the way, I remember you from Predictogram.
Yeah.
Oh, Billish Mellow.
Yeah. So the question was about
That was
He
building.
used to be on Team Shark.
Yeah. Scaling into options. Look, so you can take one shot, right? And I think this is again sizing, but you never want to put in. So I don't ever put more than like 20% of a trading account net into all the options. If that makes sense, like across all your positions. One, you'll have a lot of time managing, but besides the point, it's a sizing thing. If it's longer dated, which that might be a longer dated question. So longer dated options, I think you can scale, right? Scale into, but the key is just because something's cheaper does not justify adding. Like that is crucial. And there's one this systematic way to say like definitively, okay, I can add to a position that might be in a drawdown, and is only if you have a net new trigger long. So something might be at your stop loss, let's say, and maybe that looks like a good place to add. It doesn't mean that you should add. You should not add unless, let's say, something's at your stop loss, and then at your stop, you get a net new trigger long. You must have a net new trigger long, and then and only then can you add into an existing position that's in a drawdown. And that's the only way, right? Like not just because something's drawing down. You have to look at that. I mean, honestly, you have to look at every position every day, especially as a swing trader, and say to yourself, would I open this one more time as it is today, right here, right now? And if the answer is no, well, you might want to, take a step back for a second, because then you're kind of on hopium. But if the answer is yes, and you have a net new, yes, this is time to add trigger, it's going up from here, then yeah, I think you absolutely can. But just because something's drawing down, I think that's a no. I think that's a good. So we on Microsoft specifically, and this was a short dated option for me. I was in a drawdown on that Microsoft trade recently. I'd entered in what was it, Casey? About a $1.60 per contract for my Microsoft swing, and it drew down, and I saw a net new trigger long here. Actually, I can screen share this really quick. So on these 3 daily candles, right? Like these 3 right here, right? So you have so if this is my trade, I'll go ahead. Sorry, it's multitasking, so it's hard. So this is, I see, okay, we're not breaking down. You have this red line is actually my stop loss. This is real. This is what happened. So I enter here, right? So 1, 2, 3 candlestick setup. We have a trigger, and I'm entering in strength up through here. It gets, is it this day, or it might have been this day? Somebody help me, remind me. Oh, so this is this day, I think it was here, where I entered towards the close of this day, and then it pulled down just a little bit, but closed over this 416, which was my stop. We were talking about 415 for our stop, and I'll drop this down into a smaller time frame so you can probably see it a little bit better. So here entry, right? Here entry goes up, pulls down a little bit, no close below. If this, and at the time, this was like my hard stop, whatever it was, like over here. It wasn't until this day at the close, so I'm in 1 day, 2 days, we pull down. I'm in a drawdown. I didn't add here just because we were in a drawdown. It was at the close or like towards the close on this day. When I got a net new trigger to go long, I actually added this day on an options, which was drawn down just because of time value. So my trade really looked like this. If this makes sense. So this is what my trade looked like 1 day, 2 days. On the third day, I'm in a drawdown, but the trade never really stopped me out. It kind of wicked down. I didn't add down here because that's not a net new trigger long. It wasn't until here that I added. And then the very following day, we got this move to the upside and I ended up closing in full on this day. So again, this is, and I'll drop it down to a smaller time frame. It's right here, like this moment right in here. If I'm long, that's fine. I might have been long here. Yeah, it looked like this. 1, 2, 3 days, drawing down, never closing below, but this last day, taking it net new long again on the same trigger, last shot to go through, and then boom, we got the move.
So, Paper, there's a kind of add-on question I just saw that I like this as well. So, like, scaling in,
my boy.
we talked about that a little bit, but there's one, it says, how do you scale in if it's already going up? So if the trade's already going in your direction, but you didn't get a full position size in yet, how do you scale in? Maybe Casey wants to take that too, but how do you scale into a position if it is already going in your favor?
I'll let Casey take it.
For that specifically, most of the time I don't. I don't like scaling into a position if it's already working out in my favor, and that's only because history for me doing that, I just don't like that kind of trading, in my opinion. So I like to, and Frank says all the time, let the trade come to you. So I let the trade come to me. If I get the entry and I have the conviction there to enter into the trade, I should hit it. If I miss the trade and it goes without me, then so be it. There's always another trade, but I'm not going to, or if I did get that first starter position, like 4 or 5 contracts, whatever it is, and then it starts going 15, 20%, if it really starts moving, majority of the time, I will just manage that trade that I'm already in. If it's already moving too quick without me, I'm not going to add more into it. That's just not my style of trading. Now, I will do the opposite, where if I do get a starter position and it starts to go down, I will continue to enter into that position. And that's based off if the technical analysis for the reason why I'm entering into this trade is still valid. So if I can do that, then I will scale in that way. But I usually will never scale into a trade if it's already playing out in my favor. I'll just manage the position that I initially got into originally. So
I love that.
I'll second what Casey said. I really don't. There are times I do, and I just
can I screen share Paper as well?
Yeah, I do want to get to bullish question because this I think is the big one. But it's the same. It's the same concept of not adding to a loser unless you have a net new trigger long, regardless of if it's gone up or not. You have to remove some of that. I used this term earlier today, recency bias. But if you have a net new trigger long at a net new level, I think you're fine, right? That's what it has to be. Bullish. I've been getting this a lot, and you guys tell me, have you? So I know that we trade with some people that do this. Casey's shaking his head no. I don't know where Nick is.
That's not right. That's not right.
I don't do it. Does anybody here do it?
I do not.
No.
No, but I think the biggest thing is that we got to work on, it's a matter of entries then. You can't have, you shouldn't be going down 80%, then you're just wrong. You need to, that's really the issue.
My biggest problem here, and I think it has to, it's got to be dependent on like your like time, like how much time you have, if you will, and clearly your size. I would say if you're worried about a position going against you, look, we define risk as net dollars at risk in the market, net dollars in play of the market, if that makes sense. So especially for options, I do not, unless you're talking, I do it, but I do it like in very special situations where like, I'm really worried about it, but then if like an event is happening maybe, but like where I could say this could go either way. You can buy a strangle or something like that. But
That's
like,
what I was about to say. Couldn't, and that's where options could be helpful. You know, you could do some type of a spread trade.
yeah,
Like that, you know?
but if it's just because 80% of my options go red before going up, I think Bullish is asking, should I just open strangles at the same time? Like, that's a different question. But if you're in, that's the thing. Adding
How red are we
exposure.
talking too?
I think just buying. So you already put your money out on your trade for your trade, right? But then putting more money out to protect that same trade, I feel like even if you were correct, number one, your losses are going to be diminished now. Number two, if you're wrong, you might not make up for the losses on your insurance, if you will, but you've at the same time increased your net exposure, because more often than not, the problem is that things just go sideways. And
yeah, I was about to say, what happens if it goes sideways and both sides just get chewed up?
And specifically with options, you may have just doubled your risk, or added 30% to your risk or something like that. So
and you know how the market is. The time that you do that, it's gonna go in your favor. You know, the time that you buy the puts against it, it's gonna fucking rip that way, and you're just gonna,
would just be
a wash.
If so, Bullish or anybody else, if you're doing this, I mean, I don't have a huge problem with it, but I do like conceptually say it's not something you want to do it very rarely at all. But if you do it, it needs to be properly sized. Number one, it can't be 1-to-1, and it has to be very, very short moment in time. So I did do it recently with Coinbase, and I will give you that. Coinbase specifically, long dated calls, but it triggered short for a day trade to me, which would have just locked in a higher low, which it did, and then I day traded a put while I was longer dated calls, but I was closing those puts that same day. So net exposure that I had puts on while I had calls was literally hours, if that. So I think like if you're gonna do that, like just very short periods of time, not like longer than a full session.
That's super too, because the question like mentioned taking it at the same time. If anything, you can mitigate your risk if you're like already been in a position and a longer term position and it's already gone in your favor. So you already have like gains, like you're up, your net up. That's when I think you may think about, like Paper just set a perfect example, a short term hedge to the downside if you're in a longer term trade to the upside.
Yeah, like we get all the time. Like just yesterday, I feel like that was a big red day in the middle of a big green, like series of higher highs and higher lows. So like that could have been a perfect day where like, look, it might be short for a day, but not for like a long time.
All right.
I want to go over that a little bit too. So regarding what you were saying in the beginning, Paper. So if you're worried about a position, and one, it's mostly the entries. You don't have the right entry. But two, a lot of people worry about positions because they're too overly sized.
Yeah.
And that is something I know very well because this is something I did when I first started trading. I was way overly sized. I would sell if I was up literally 5 pennies, and I would sell if I was down, like 2 pennies. I didn't want to see anything leave, and I wanted to take everything. That is not how you want to trade. You need to find the appropriate size that fits your risk tolerance, and everyone is totally different. I have no clue what your financial situation is, and your risk tolerance, but definitely find something appropriate, stay consistent with it, and then tweak it from there. If you start to make a lot of money and you think you could increase it a little bit, definitely go from there and add to it. But other than that, adding on to that, I think this kind of flows right into a question that I saw prior. How do you not get FOMO and sticking to your plan? And the reason why I think that kind of flows a little bit is if you are getting bad entries, that could be a big factor. Because let's say for today example, okay, we had a reversal on, hold on, let me pull up the chart.
you're talking about?
Yeah. How do I pull?
Yeah,
Oh, I see it. Hold on.
22.85 was when we got the reversal.
Yeah.
What are we shorting futures right now? What's going on? Should I open my broker? No.
Wait, is it working? Okay, whatever. I don't know if it's working. Oh, it is working. Can you guys see this or no? What is it showing?
What? See what?
Oh my God, you got
What do you want me to show? I can show your screen. You ready?
Show NQ futures. He can push that.
Yeah, you can do a screen share, Nick.
How do I go to?
Share your screen.
Guys, see what happens when you show up late.
Do you see it?
All right. Yep. You ready? There you are.
Yeah, but does it switch?
Oh,
to
there it is. Oh.
You can see the
I have
charts.
to do it. So once
Yeah,
you
we can
show
see
it, yeah.
Okay. For example, okay, let's see.
Okay.
You see this possible double bottom. You obviously see it reversing. This is not a trade I took. I wish I did. And I remember talking about this candle earlier on in the day. But you see this type of setup. You see it start to reverse. Buying somewhere up here is, in my opinion, FOMO. You're buying it up 60 points already, just coming into prior resistance. Yeah, we have a W here on a smaller time frame, but again, you're buying right into prior resistance here. That is something that I would consider FOMO. And in this case, listen, it worked, okay? But doing something like that is only going to get you hurt. You need to find and stick with your strategy, and obviously combine that with your consistent sizing. And obviously that's the hard part. That's why we're here. That's why we're trying to teach and give our pointers of what has worked for us and what hasn't, so we could hopefully change some trading lives here. But in general, being able to be consistent with your sizing, following your strategy, and being patient and waiting for an entry. If you miss it, listen, that's it. Go on to the next trade. There's always going to be another trade. And I think that is a part that people overlook as well. The patient part of it is a big key in trading. So definitely, yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, on that trade today, there was
Frank.
There was two
What were you gonna say?
You got me?
We got
two
you.
opportunities. So if you put back up put back up your NQ screen.
Nick.
Going to 5 minutes.
Yeah, because I was hoping to say because it gave you an actual long opportunity after it broke over that line you had there.
So
it came back and retested.
Emp and I know for a fact, Emp had 85 bids in. It traded down to 65. When it started trading down, I actually canceled my 85 because I knew they'd give me a second chance. They actually gave you 3 chances or 4 on those lows today. And they ripped higher, and then they came back in slightly lower low, which is a fake out. That's where I got long a boatload, and then we went for the full ride and then up and sideways. That's the day right there. But when you're catching those knives, you have to have a quick out. Like you have to have it in your mind that you're counter trading the market, so you're out. You're not getting. I mean, that went from 85 to 27 or 35. Like that's a counter trend trade. That's a big return. Like I was out way before. I was out by probably 10 on my runners because you're counter trading that dip. And then you got then the next 3 candles down on the 5 minute. That looks like it's about to break. So my purchase was down there in that 65, 68, 70 level. And I had a quick stop. If that broke like 50, I was out. I was willing to take that much of a loss. And you have to know your size. And your entry, if you're trading size, has to be perfect, or else you'll blow the account. And the same thing in the afternoon. We had 140. We had a candle. Sharky was long, and right there up at the top at 382, I sold 280 contracts, and that was also a counter trade trend. So when that candle hit down, all you heard in my screen was buy. Like you heard order filled. And I was out quickly. Now, those trades, it's only 80 to 51 or 50. Those were quick trades, but like I had been trading that kind of size earlier. Yesterday, my biggest position was 20 contracts, and I did very well. If you change your size during the day, you're dead. If you go from small to big, you're going to get crushed because your entries have to be perfect when you're trading size, or else you'll blow your account. And you have to know before you get into trade where your stop loss is. If you start waiting, there's no adding, obviously. And that's why I scale in. Maybe I'll scale in. I'll start like buying 2, and then I'll scale in. Like on that trade, at 8, usually I'd buy it at 85, 80, 78, 65. And I would reverse scale in. So every time it came down, I'd be buying bigger. But I know for a fact that if that breaks like 60 or 58, I am out. Otherwise, you would blow the account. So you really have to be disciplined. And you really have to wait for the trade, and you have to be very fast. And I always say on Spaces, you have to let the trade come to you. If you try to force it, you'll get back. But you have to have confidence in it. You have to be a believer. But like, there's a place when you have to just bag at them.
I wanted to just tap real quick.
I gotta jump off, guys. Love ya.
There he is.
See you, Case.
I'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a good night.
Later, bud.
Later.
And then maybe we'll get to 1 or 2 more. We did start late, but I'm good for another 15 or whatever you guys want to do. But anyway, just to point on what back to the FOMO thing a little bit. So, when Knots was pointing out where he considered to be a FOMO trade, right? I don't know if he's still there with his little clicker.
They said his wife came in with the dogs or something.
Oh my God, this guy. Well, never mind. I was gonna say once it broke over his white level, you're not gonna take that entry in the FOMO trade. You're gonna see if it breaks over that level and come back and retest it. That's when you take it.
Yeah,
you wait for that. You don't chase the move up at that point. Just wait to see if it breaks. What's the risk to reward? It's like it's basically 1-to-1 at that point. So just wait to see if it breaks over. There's always another trade. There's always another moment in the market.
It always gives you a second chance. It might be a higher low, which is even better. This one today was a slightly lower low, so it was a more risky trade. I was smaller. And it also ripped up quicker than we ever thought it would. I mean, for a second there, that was 3 green candles on the 5-minute. And then
unless you were paper, then paper just thought it was going to do that most of the day, and it didn't till like later.
But a lot of times that slightly lower high or that slightly higher high, when you're in a range day, you have to know where you are. If you're in a trend day, you can get your head ripped off. But we were in a range day all day today. So like that slightly higher high is okay. But if it gets away from you, you got to have a quick cut, especially in futures. I mean, it happens in seconds.
There was one other good question as we wind down here. I saw earlier about how do you feel about how do you deal with losing money, leaving money on the table. I thought that one was kind of good.
Yeah, you got to get that out of your mind. You can't worry about leaving money on the table, and because you know why? Because when you enter a trade in futures, not in options, you know what your risk. Well, in options, you're going to scale. You're going to scale in futures, as Emp does and Sharky does very well. Today, not very good paper. You didn't scale. You would have made a lot more money in futures today. I'm teasing you. Is he listening?
I might have heard it. I don't know.
No, you had stops.
It's a little hard to hear you, Frank.
Yeah.
Is it really? I'm sorry.
Someone needs to buy with that 50K giveaway.
But he was just dogging you. He was just dogging you, paper.
I mean, Sharky, can you pull a couple $100 out of that 50K giveaway, and we'll buy Frankie a microphone?
Office Depot, $50. We can get one.
No, but as far as leaving money on the table, there's a couple of things. You have to also make, and this is what is also gives you that the hindsight factor after you look at the chart. You look at the chart after and say, oh, it was so obvious to stay long. Why didn't I stay long? Or why didn't I stay short? It was so obvious. I'm stupid. Blah blah blah. But you also have to give yourself realize that you're doing you're making the most informed decision that you are at that moment with the data that is given to you at that current time.
And like,
And
Turkey, why would they think that that's the only trade that's going to come?
right. Well, that's the other thing, because we're always so short-sighted and thinking that's, I missed this I've heard other people that I missed this trend day and this and that. You don't think there's ever going to be another trend day in the however many years you're going to trade, but also, the more you see of them, the more you're going to be able to recognize what type of days these things are, what's actually occurring. Just like we were talking about all day today, we dropped down yesterday 400 points. We came back up in the Globex session 100 points. All the juice had been sucked out of the market. What is the most likely scenario? Well, we just made a huge, and me and Paper talk about this all. We just made a huge run down, a retrace. Well, what's the most likely thing? Time for a rest, And so you get those a little bit more difficult trading, price delivery conditions. And just being aware of that ahead of time also says, okay, I got to step back or whatever, But yeah.
Yeah, last a week ago Tuesday, it was in the morning, and the market was 9:30, and the market and Nasdaq had rallied like 160 points overnight, and we were right at the highs. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is overnight. And Maple Stacks was on, and he goes right before the market opened. He goes, guys, a lot of times these things reverse, and like that's why we work together, because I heard him and I said, you know what, he's right. And I didn't go crazy. I sold 10 contracts. 3 minutes later, I heard Knots saying, I'm done for the day. It went down 100 points. It went down 100 points in no time. So he had FOMO, and I'm like, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? And even me, I was covering 2 every 10 points. It was like I was already out of bullets in minutes. But like, you can't worry about it, because I said there's going to be another opportunity. That day, there was another opportunity to short him again. So there's always a second chance, and you got to give yourself that leeway and not like get annoyed. And if you're thinking something, sell something, buy small. If you're wrong, you blow it out. There's going to be losses. And the other thing, if you're trading futures, is you got to try not to look at your P&L. And I am the number one fucking guy that I look at my P&L too much. It's ridiculous. And the more that I get into my price targets and where I'm getting out, I don't care what anyone's doing. I'm out. If I'm out, I'm out. And that's it. And if you notice, a lot of us are long short at the same time during the day, but like we all have our price targets. What are you laughing about?
Yeah, Frank. I think
No. Casey is saying he wants to know what Duck Dynasty beard oil that Emp uses.
Oh,
Frank, I think that's a good point about not checking your P&L and stuff, and that's why I personally, instead of having the profit show up or the loss, I have the ticks instead.
Wow.
So I don't know the actual dollar amount. I just know the tick amount, and I can't do that math. So
yeah,
I feel like
I hide mine altogether.
Mm-hmm. You have that up. You could do that on. You can do that in general?
You can do it on a lot of things. On TopStepX, I don't think they let you hide the dollar amount anymore, but you can on a lot of other platforms. But I just don't even see it anymore. Like I look to win a trade. I have my entry. I have my invalidation. I have my targets. So I have main target. Really I have 1, 2, 3 targets every trade. And if it goes beyond target 3, I am so small that we're talking just a little bit of whipped cream on top of the pie, right? I don't even really care at that point. But I don't look at the dollar amount that I'm making, because when you start watching P&L, like Frank just said, you get yourself in trouble.
Gets you whacked out, yeah. I was on target. Yeah, I was trying to go to target yesterday, but I missed.
Oh, yeah. Mitch Hedberg. Okay, great joke. Dogs are forever in the push-up position. Anyways,
if you're trading an eval account, if it's $100,000 eval account, you're trading $2,500. You shouldn't be bigger than 20 contracts in the minis or 5 in the bigs.
Well, I actually had go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead, bud.
Oh, no, I had a situation actually like this today. I was watching. We hit this level multiple times in the 50s on the MQ, and it kept bouncing again and again and again. I thought, this could be a potential long, but we have not broken over the opening range high. I had my suspicions on whether we'd be able to do it, but then it ripped. It ripped over the open range high towards the end of the day. I was actually pretty surprised, and AMP was calling for 400 most of the day, and it broke over. And once it broke over, I wasn't sitting there upset and pissed that I missed buying the 50s when I knew it was a level. It was the bottom of the little box. I wasn't pissed. I saw the 15-minute candle close above the opening range, and I said at that point I'm going long. So I'm not sitting there beating myself up over the fact that I missed the 50-point long. I'm readjusting and looking at my system and saying, okay, well, now here's the opportunity for me to actually take this long. And yeah, I got whatever. Yeah, I only got 30 points or whatever, but that's still a good trade, and it was within my system and my process. So, I could sit there and beat myself up over that I missed that, and then in doing that, I'm going to miss another opportunity to actually take a trade. So you have to remove yourself from that, and just be able to just go for it on your system. So, and look who that is.
He's in the house.
Yeah, sorry for that knock on the bottom of the desk.
What's
I
up,
just saw
boys?
Gordy and got excited.
What's up, buddy?
Special guest appearance by the man.
Ace of spades.
It's not, it's just not right if we don't have someone in the car on their phone, right? Like,
Of
it was
course.
Sharky last week, Jordy this
Yeah,
week.
well, he doesn't even need to pay attention. He's got the FSD. What are you doing, man? Hands
Exactly.
up.
Well, I'm about to throw it on. I'm about to throw it
Side of
on.
the car. Why is
He
that
has-
not the passenger
He's
side?
gonna hit
I'm
a
about to
baby.
throw it
Oh
on.
my God.
Hold on.
Is that?
I don't trust that shit.
Oh, I
Yeah, wait, I
trust
want to
the
see.
FSD,
Can we get a
but
live
autopilot, I
FSD?
don't
Like,
Yeah, no, well, you trust anything with Elon now
Wait,
and
wait,
another
wait,
25.
put your
How do
hands
I
up.
change? Here, I'll just do this.
No, that's scary.
Show your screen. I know you have.
No, that's
pulled up on your
fucking
screen right now.
scary, dude. Oh, that's horrifying. No.
Just
Look
going,
at this
dude.
guy.
Jordy. It's true.
No, no,
Wait,
no.
does he have a seatbelt on?
Yeah,
Oh,
of course.
yeah.
Of course. Safety
Always.
first, baby.
Oh, God.
But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Crazy.
It's pretty.
Progressive
Best
Insurance is
best
watching
purchase
right now.
legit I've ever made, for sure. For sure.
Nice.
Well,
I don't
guys,
wanna
do we
interrupt
do?
the education though? You guys are killing it, but I'm happy to be on. Next time
Jordy.
I'll actually be at my desk and I'll be able to.
Sharky's going to give away 50 grand right now. What do you think?
Yeah. Wow, yeah. Well, dude, too bad KC left, because then we would have a. What do you guys think? What question do you think spurred the best conversation? How do you want to do this? We've got to give it away. You guys hung out with us here. We really appreciate you guys taking the time, hanging out with us and asking your questions, and hopefully gaining some value speaking with us and some of our insights. And if you haven't already followed the account, please
What if-
do.
what if we
But
ask
what do you
a
guys
trivia
think? How do you
question?
want to do this giveaway?
We should ask a trivia question, and the first answer that gets it right in the chat.
Oh, my God. Jordy. All right, Jordy's the
I
one
think
that
so.
runs trivia. So, Jordan, come up with a good trivia question, and the marble race will begin.
Oh boy, Amp, I need your help. Text me.
Thanks to you.
Amp, we need
Oh,
to-
my
Hi, Gordy, you're live.
Here?
You're driving.
you
You
do
can't
it?
text.
Okay. Oh,
Putting me on the
Oh,
spot
look who it
right
is, the
now,
kitty
bro.
cat.
Eva.
Putting me on the spot right now. It's got to be something like futures related or like. I'm trying to make it hard though. 'Cause,
How about I'm thinking?
I know,
I'm thinking
50
number.
big G's.
50
How
grand.
about I'll think of a number.
Legitimately. So what Sharky and by the way, this is just a small piece of what we might be doing moving forward, but the giveaways are cool. But $50,000, who's this account with, Sharky?
Elite Trader Funding.
If with Elite Trader Funding, we're gonna give you a $50,000 account to trade with. You have to pass it. Once you do, you keep what's the share? 80%, 70%?
It might be, it's either 80 or 90 or
I think
85
the
or
first
90.
10 grand is all yours, and then it's 90%.
Yeah.
90%
Yes, sir.
of the profits. So 90-10 split. 50K to pass. 50 grand is yours.
All right. So what are we gonna do, Frank's thing, or are we gonna do a trivia question? What are we doing?
Hey, Casey's got a trivia question right there. What is 5 MNQ points worth? Go.
Go. How much value? What is the value of 5 MNQ points?
$10.
Quick Google. Brando, I'm
I'm
rooting
not
for
even
you.
good at math. I wouldn't be able to answer that.
For one contract. Yeah.
Who says it first?
Oh, first answer. Jack, 10.
There it is, Jack.
Boom.
I see it.
There it is. That's the answer. Jack Barker.
Jack,
There you go.
Winner.
win
Jack.
$50,000. Boom.
Yeah.
Where's the
Just don't
soundboard
cast it.
paper?
Just don't. Key. Here's the soundboard. Just don't cast the check till Friday.
And I was rooting for you, man. Until you did something crazy. I can't even get to your. What is that? You. Oh no.
Guys, I
one
gotta
more.
run. I gotta get myself together.
All right.
Hey,
Hey, Frank.
DM Sharky.
Frank's
He's
out. He
gonna
made
give you
too
a
much money
code.
today.
No, DM the ticker talk. DM the ticker talk.
He's gonna give you a code. Just as an aside, we are all doing a mastermind together, Jordy included. This is the first time I'm gonna say this, but we are gonna give everyone that completes this mastermind. Guys, nobody does this. I mean, I kind of like shaky saying this because it's wild. $100,000 to trade with. So there is no other mastermind. When you come to the X Spaces Mastermind, you complete this. We will give you a $100,000 prop account, yours, unattached to us. We will teach you how to trade, and we will fund you as long as you pass. Again, you keep the profits. It's a split between Elite Trader funding. This is going to be massive. We've not.
No, we get 10% too.
No, we don't get anything. We're $100,000 funded account to play with. Yeah, legit.
For every single person that
For
joins,
every
right?
single person. Yeah. It's official, man.
Yeah, and
We're
you
making
just
it happen.
DM me. I have to trade size tomorrow to pay for all that.
Pay for these, by the way. So, you know, they're not free. We're actually buying these, but tell you what, we're going to give you a $100,000 prop account, eval account. Like, dude, I mean, hey, it's a good deal. You learn how to trade. We set you up for success.
There you go. All right, so make sure you DM me. Make sure you DM the Ticker Talk, account, and we'll get you set up with that code for to be able to sign up. So congratulations.
Yes.
How do
All
we
right,
join?
guys.
Paper right there. Shooter's got a
All right, I gotta
question.
run,
How do
guys.
we join the mastermind?
How
See
do
you,
you
Frank.
join? Okay, so
All right,
how
Frank.
do you join the mastermind? Let me do this really quick. Ticker
Oh, let me
Talk.
give you my code.
Any of our fucking time.
Let me give you my code. No.
Let me give you my code. I mean, everybody is
Yeah,
posting
go.
this.
Yeah, paper. Get your code.
The
You're
links
the
are
one running this
everywhere.
thing. But they're everywhere. Jeez.
The
Everybody's
links are everywhere. It's Jesus, Criminy. But yeah, they're everywhere. Look, Ticker Talks reposted it. I can't imagine how many times. I will post it right now through here. There you go. That's how you sign up. It's a 4-week.
Did you just tweet it to your page?
No, I just put it in the comments. It's a 4-week class. We're doing at least 3 days a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, an hour a day, hour after hours. So 1 hour after hours. We'll throw in a couple weekend sessions, literally taking you from knowing pretty much nothing to quite literally everything: day trading, options, swing trading, futures, long-term investing. We got my boy Amit coming in to do a presentation on picking stocks and things like that for the very long term. Because hey, once you make a bunch of money trading, what are you going to do with it? Knott's coming in doing the Iron Condor strategies. Casey's going to do supply demand, like key levels and confluence. Sharky's doing auction market theory. There's all kinds of stuff we'll cover. I mean, literally everything. So if you know nothing, or if you know a lot, maybe you're even the person that thinks they know too much. Like, we simplify all of these concepts, and there's no level that you can come into this and not come out a better trader. There's just not. Link is in the chat. Link is literally everywhere. So have at it, boys and girls. And then also, can you guys have the Ticker Talk retweet my webinar. So we're gonna do.
Yeah, I think we did.
Cece, yeah, Cece is one of our students. Cece, I need a like a testimonial from Cece. She's an old winner, like from way back in the day. This girl has been on point, like huge growth. Like if you're not sure and you're on the fence, what I'm gonna do is tomorrow after hours, free webinar. I'm running out of spots. I literally had to up my Zoom webinar license today. If Ticker Talk can retweet that post again, super limited. We're almost full. If you can believe this, I have 500 spots. I had a license that was for 200. I had to bump it to 500. So we got a couple hundred more spots left, but after that, we're capped. What it is, it's basically if you're on the fence about what this X Mastermind is, this is a session that would be included, but you get a taste of what does it look like to see a hardened system, something that has a beginning, a middle, and end, and just a taste of what you'll get through the X Mastermind actual full course. But anyways, yeah, that's free tomorrow, completely free. I'm gonna give like legit sauce, so kudos to that one. And again, super limited. We'll
That's
probably
awesome,
be sold out
too.
by tomorrow. Not that there's anything to buy, but I'll be capped on
Doing
my
it for
license.
free. So
Yeah.
it's like a free preview, but it's with value. And not only is it free, Paper just had to up his license and pay extra money out of his
It's
pocket.
not exactly
to let
free,
more
but
of
I
you
did
guys
pay a
in
little
for
bit.
free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Put it on the
All right.
card, says JT.
I'm good, boys and girls. Look at Ace the Kid.
Chad, y'all.
Put it on the card. What are the dates
We're
for
getting some
trading?
lunch.
So next week we'll actually go ahead and announce the dates. So it's going to be in between Halloween and Thanksgiving, but it's at least it's 4 weeks. I have a some of the tradings that everybody wants to give you are pretty thorough, and I mean some of the stuff that we have planned, you guys, is just nasty value that's never really been out there before. So we may extend it, but we'll have it's going to be through the holidays. For like the next 4 weeks, if you will. We'll start the week after next, but pre-sales end today, or this week, sorry.
Yeah, it's lit. What
You
we're
already
looking at
live
doing
in that
like
Cali life.
we're looking at doing like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know, kind of like a summer course. Like if you've ever taken a summer college course,
Yeah,
or
summer
something. It's
school,
very
man.
similar.
It's
Yeah,
summer
like summer
school.
school. It's like a summer.
Or summer school when you're in
session.
detention and you've been a bad boy.
No, it's not your summer school, Sharky. This is like the summer
I
session.
rode a short bus. I'm telling you, it's true.
There you go.
All right.
Jordy's
gonna
gonna
close
teach
it
us
up, boys.
skateboarding, too.
Thank you so much for joining us on this second version of Ticker Talk.
Yes.
Appreciate it. Or not Ticker Talk.
I wonder if we can get Ava up here on the next one. Is that a thing?
Well, it's probably like 3 a.m. for her.
It is probably 3 a.m. Open invite.
So. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us.
We're gonna call it.
Thanks,
Love
Paper.
y'all.
Great to see you guys.
Peace out. Cheers. Love you. Bye.